All right, welcome back to another review. This is the High Grade Build Fighters GM. It is actually one of the red Bandai logos right before they went over to Bandai Spirit, so it does have the yen price. And this particular suit comes from the show Gundam Build Fighters. Um, and It has three here on the cover, which actually is the same suit but with different heads because it comes with three separate heads that you can put together. Um, However, I'm actually using two of them, so the only one I have in the box is this one, which I don't really like it. It looks too much like an OVA helmet from Halo, and I'm not really a big fan of that helmet. It's just my personal opinion on the matter, I guess. Um, on this side, we have some images of the kit and a little bit of a blurb, also with some translations in English, actually. So if you want to pause that and watch it, you can. And over here is the yen price of 1,600. So basically around $16. So for $16, not a bad deal because you get, three optional heads. And if you want to use that head for other kits, you can do that, which I think is really cool, personally. Um, that's really it with this right here for the box itself. So I guess we'll move on to the actual kit and, see if there's anything else left on the runners. I actually thought it'd be a pretty good idea to go ahead and look at the leftover parts on the runner. There's quite a bit of them, and they are mostly just airframe parts. This is a Build Fighters kit, and Build Fighters model kits are legendary for leftover pieces. So, this gives you an idea of what's left on the runner. So, yeah, it's just basically leftover frame pieces and stuff that you can use for making customs or repairing kits, I guess. Okay, so this is the high grade Build Fighters GM. Um, because he's a high grade, he's doesn't cost a whole lot, so that's always a good sign. And another good thing about this kit is that it's easy to come by. High grades are common, and Build Fighters kits are very common. They're all over the place. And when it comes to accessibility, that's about it. When it comes to detailing on the surface, there's actually a little bit more than you might expect for this kit, but not as much as some people who like a lot of detail would want. And this is actually one of my very first kits I ever bought. In fact, I think it was my first kit that I ever bought with my own money, and it was technically the first kit I built myself. You know, I have other videos explaining that, so if you want to go and check out some of my update videos, you can. But anyways, so it's my first kit I ever built, and at the time I didn't use I was inexperienced. I was not as intelligent as I am now. But basically, I just pulled them off the runner. I didn't actually clip the parts off. I just pulled it off, which worked fine with him. But later on, I realized that yeah, you should get clippers because you have a high chance of breaking the part. And as you can tell, there's just nub marks all over this thing. I didn't even know about cleaning up nub marks. I didn't even know you did that. So yeah, there was a lot of nub marks on this guy, and that's about it. Articulation is actually okay. He's a 2017 kit, so his articulation's better than say previous high grades, but now at that newer standard has become standard, his articulation really isn't anything too spectacular. Doesn't have anything too insane that he can do when it comes to articulation. He's pretty basic, but The thing is that even though his articulation is actually pretty good, his he's a bit loose. He's a bit loose. So um, just keep that in mind. That at first he was pretty tight, but he loosened up over time, so he's not as tight as he could be. So you might want to try and tighten up those joint pieces a little bit. I've had him for about 2 years, so and I've rarely touched him. So 2 years and barely touching this guy, and this is the result, that especially that shield, which leads me into the accessories. As you can tell, he comes with a shield and he comes with a beam saber on his back, and he comes with an extra beam saber that you can put in his hand. But the funny thing is that GMs are supposed to only have one beam saber, so the fact that he has two, I find to be pretty funny because you can't put the second beam saber on the kit. Like, you can't store it anywhere. So because I can't store it anywhere, I decided to put it into his holding hand, which that's all he comes with. All he has is holding hands. And he also comes with a little spray gun, that little pistol right there. It's technically a beam rifle. That's what it's called. But it looks like a pistol to me. And yeah, she has another accessory of a beam saber effect part. And you may notice, like I said before, he's got an extra head down here. Now this is the one I'm not using for any other kit. I don't really like this head, so it stays in the box, but that's his other accessory that he comes with. And that head itself, actually, you may have noticed, isn't shown on the box, and that's because this head doesn't go to this kit. This is actually the GM Mark III head. I actually saw someone who did a review for this a few years ago do this as an example to show you what you can do with this kit as like swapping heads. And because of that, I saw it in the video and I loved it, and I actually had to I had to do that to my kit. So that's why it's not one of the three heads he comes with. One of his other heads, his more traditional GM head, is well, it's on a failed project. Let's just say that. And the third head, the one that looks more like a GM Commander head, is actually on my Mark III, which eventually I'll get to reviewing. But that's about it really for him. He's not. There's not much to talk about, and I went over pretty much all the big points here. Um, so final verdict really for him is about the same as the other two. He's an average kit with an average set of accessories. But because he doesn't really have anything that makes him stand out other than the fact that he's got three separate heads that he can do, really the only thing that makes him higher than like a 3.0 or a 3.1 is the fact that he comes with three different types of head options. So with that in mind, he's a 3.5 out of 5, and he's a fairly average kit. Would I recommend him? I would definitely recommend him for people who are starting off and don't have a whole lot of kits. He's great practice, and he's affordable and easier to find than a lot of other kits. And on top of that, he's got a decent array of accessories, so he's not bare bones, but he's very standard. He's very standardized, if that makes any sense. So his standardization is what makes him so basic, and the one thing that makes him stand out is just extra head pieces, which you can put on other kits. Doesn't have to be him. So that's about it, really. Recommended, and 3.5 out of 5. So that's about it for this guy. See you in the next review, which should be coming up not too long from now. And peace.